All right, thank you so much. The program still this morning on ITV. Now, I told you that we are going to be having the chairman of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian University, University of Benin chapter, talking about Dr. Ray Chikogu. Now, 2 days ago, we got to know that Asuu has extended the strike. The strike has been on now for about 4 weeks. That's 1 month. Only for us to know that the strike is going to be extended by another 2 months. That's another 8 weeks. Now, it appears the issues are vague, Doctor, because some persons really don't know what is going on. Some say the federal government is not forthcoming, while some also say that Asuu is also not understanding the plight of parents as well as the plight of students as they stay at home. What is the issue, Dr. Ray?
Thank you for having me on the program. The issues are clear and straightforward, and they have not changed. Since 2009, when our union entered into an agreement with the federal government of Nigeria, we have since then had cause to proceed on a number of strikes, just to compel the government to live up to the terms of that agreement in 2009. I would like to inform you that contained in that agreement is a clause that after every 3 years, both the federal government and Asuu will meet to review that agreement, such that if the federal government found certain aspects of the agreement difficult for it to implement, they will both come back to the table and discuss those issues. And so as it stands, between 2009 and 2022, that agreement has been due for review 4 times. But the federal government has not been responsive in terms of getting to review that agreement. The issues contained in that agreement stand on 4 pillars. One is university autonomy. The second is funding for the revitalization of public universities. The third is conditions of service. And the final point there is others. That's other matters that will relate to these 3 that we have outlined. And since that agreement was reached in 2009, the federal government has only partially implemented that agreement. Even the conditions of service, that is the aspect that has to do with the salaries of university teachers. At the time that agreement was reached, the sums that was supposed to be allocated to different lecturers, the federal government said they didn't have enough resources at the time to cater for that salary scale, and so appealed to the union that they should develop a second scale that they will begin to implement, and so that when the conditions improve, they will implement the actual salary scale on that agreement. So up till this moment, 13 years after, we are still on that second scale that we had to adopt, because the federal government said they didn't have enough resources to cater for the actual one.
Okay. Now, when did the whole issue that has to do with UTAS and the UTAS and the IPPS, when did it come on board?
Yes, the question of UTAS has also come in because in 2019, late 2019, the federal government imposed IPs, that is the Integrated Personnel Payroll System,
yeah,
into the university system. And the university system is not in the core civil service
cadre, so to say.
And something that the federal government doesn't seem to understand. So our union said there are peculiarities in the university system that IPs cannot adequately cater for. The flexibility, the dynamism that you find in the university system cannot be catered for by IPs. Many issues, for example, about the recruitment of staff proceeding on a sabbatical leave, which are standard practices across the world as far as universities are concerned, are not catered for in IPs. In IPs, for example, the retirement age for every staff is 65 years. In the universities, it's 70 years. As I speak to you, there are some of our colleagues in some of our universities who have been compulsorily retired at the age of 65 because they are on the IP's payment system.
Yeah.
And so we are saying that all of those inconsistencies and irregularities do not apply to the university system. There's no country in the world where you have the universities bundled into a payment structure that is not consistent with the university system. Every country runs the university as a separate entity and not what we are trying to do here. And that was why we said, because this cannot work, we need something else. And they said, okay, you go and develop what you think will be suitable for the university system. They didn't believe that we will have the capacity to do that. But we have since done that. Since last year, we have developed a very robust payment platform suitable and applicable for the university system. Caters for all the peculiarities of the university system and is locally developed. And that platform has been there, it's ready, but they are unwilling to deploy it.
When you say they are unwilling, some say that even the federal government had to do a test. They kind of had to run a test on it. And the claim of the federal government is that, you're talking about the UTAS now.
Yes.
The claim of the federal government is that UTAS cannot, be used in a country like Nigeria. In the first place, they even say that it did not pass through any form of scrutiny. It did not pass through the normal expected test. Again, it appears that Asuu is kind of forgetting to realize that federal government, by constitution, has the right, going by acts establishing Nigerian universities. The federal government, good or bad, the federal government is your employer. They have the right to let you know that, look, this is the system by which they will pay you with. Is Asuu aware of this?
In fact, that is the misinformation that I think many persons in the public have. The act establishing the universities actually emphasizes the autonomy of the university. That act was not developed or promulgated by Asuu.
When you say autonomy now, does the autonomy extend to
yes.
payments?
Yes, it does. It does. The act specifies clearly that the university councils will be responsible for
payment of salaries,
for the modalities about payment of salaries. Both the expenditure of current and capital expenditure. But at the federal government, because it is also enshrined in the constitution of this country, that the federal government shall be responsible for the provision of education to every citizen. But the day-to-day administration of the university will rest with the university councils and not the federal government. So what the federal government has done by imposing IPs is in violation of the constitution of this country. And we are saying that it cannot be. We are not a lawless country. We must go by and play by the rules. The persons who have come, for example, who are in positions of authority right now, as you have said that your employer will, as they say that the piper dictates the tune.
Yeah.
These people, if you are talking about, for example, this enterprise where we are, that was set up by an individual from his own resources, he can tell his employees that this is how I will pay and this is how you will work. These persons who have not come to this governance with any investment of their own. What they are administering is our resources, our common patrimony. And we are saying that if it is true that we are running a democracy, and you say that it's a government of the people, for the people, and by the people should decide how those who are in public office should administer and govern this country.
No,
and that's what we're saying.
We are missing it now. The business of Asuu is not politics, so to say.
No,
so let's get it straight so that we don't try to extend it.
This is not politics. I'm saying this country has a constitution. And we're saying it's our moral duty and responsibility to ensure that those who occupy public office must obey the constitution of this country. Okay.
Now, when Asuu started, because some persons perhaps may want to look at it that Asuu started by saying that in the first place they talked about JAMB, that how come JAMB is now admitting students for universities. That's one argument on one side. Then there's the one that has to do with Issa Patami, making Issa Patami, a professor. There's one argument. It's only recently that we started hearing of the UTAS and the IPPIS. Now, what exactly are the issues one more time?
No, as I said.
You know, that's why I started by saying that it appears the whole thing is vague now.
Okay, let's make it clear.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the main issue is the renegotiation of the agreement that we signed with the federal government. That agreement has been due for review 4 times now. That university lecturers have been on the same salary for 13 years, since 2009 to date. The implication of that is that a professor, for example, who has been at the bar of his salary grade level in 2009 has been earning exactly the same salary for these 13 years. But you can see and you know what has happened to our economy and to the prices of goods and services, including electricity tariffs, including fuel. What is happening now be eloquent testimony to that. But the university lecturer has been on the same salary. And how do we expect them to cope? These people are supposed to be engaged in research and development and innovation. These people are supposed to, especially those in the sciences, should be living in their labs. But what is happening right now is that what they have as salaries cannot take them anywhere. If you find some of these people, instead of now devoting their time to serious academic enterprise, they are looking for means of survival. How will it be said that for 13 years, for example, the highest paid professor does not go home with close to 420,000 naira? And that he has been earning that for 13 years. And if you find in other sectors of this our economy, things have not remained static. Everything has been dynamic and continues to change. Only the salaries of lecturers has remained the same. Okay. So most of the time when we go out and present our pay slips to people, they ask us, are these just allowances or salaries? And they are salaries, and it's pitiable. You find that in developed countries everywhere around the world, they pay particular attention to the remuneration of university teachers because they understand the value of education. In Uganda here, just Uganda here, recently, the president came out and then one morning and made a broadcast that what was happening to education and then university teachers is appalling and abysmal. Okay. And announced a salary increase for university teachers because they understand the value of education. They didn't have to embark on any strike.
All right, so what is the status quo now? Is the federal government talking with Asuu, or is Asuu talking with the federal government? Where are we now?
Yes, you recall that on the 13th of February this year, the union embarked on a 4-week rolling strike.
Yeah, warning strike. That was what you said.
No. That's again no.
I had Professor Iyasele here now, Dr. Iyasele, he called it warning strike. And only for parents after the 1-month warning strike.
Okay. I think maybe it was a slip of the tongue when he was addressing that issue.
Okay, so it wasn't a warning strike.
No, it wasn't a warning strike. It was a rollover strike, a rolling strike.
Okay.
So it was a 4-week rolling strike. And then we had expected that within that 4 weeks, that government would have done something. There were meetings, there were interactive meetings that were held between the federal government and Asuu in the course of that 4 weeks. But at the expiration of that 4 weeks, our union met to review the performance of government and the response of government to the issues. And we found that the government had not treated the matters with the urgency that they deserve. And that is why the government was saying, for example, that they needed about 6 weeks to attend to some of the details. We now said, okay, if you need 6 weeks to attend to some of the details, because of the series of lies and dishonesty and insincerity that we have experienced on the part of government, and because we don't want parents and students to say anymore that Asuu is fond of embarking on incessant strikes, we said, we will wait. We will wait for you to attend to the issues comprehensively. And so since you say you need 6 weeks,
you give them 8 weeks.
We gave you 8 weeks so that you have an additional 2 weeks to tidy up and tie up all the loose ends so that our students can come back and resume classes.
Okay, so what do you think will happen at the end of the 8 weeks? If
at the end of the 8 weeks, as we have said, the toga that is upon Asuu now, as being strike mongers, for example, we want to drop that toga once and for all.
Okay.
So if at the end of the 8 weeks, the federal government refuses or insists on attending to frivolities rather than the main issues that that are crucial to the development of this country, which is education. If they refuse, again we will meet to review the situation, and if it is necessary and expedient, we will roll the strike on.
You continue the strike?
Yes.
Now, are you guys concerned? Because students are at home right now. Yes. Are you concerned at all as parents too?
Yes.
I saw some of the headlines yesterday whereby it was reported that some parents are begging the federal government and also Asuu. Is Asuu concerned about the plight of students at all?
What Asuu is doing now, is to protect the future of these students, and they are aware. Right now, they are aware. From the response of the students to what is happening, they are aware that the federal government is being irresponsible in terms of their attitude to providing education for the citizens of this country. One crucial arm of what I mentioned was, I said, funding for the revitalization of public universities. If you go across Nigerian universities today, majority of the buildings you see and structures you see are built by TET fund and needs assessment fund. Now these are legacies of Asuu.
Are they not still somehow connected to, maybe creation of the federal government somehow?
No, I want to give you the history of all of those things.
Yeah.
When we signed that agreement with government, the earlier agreement, government said they didn't have where to get the money to fund it. We said we know how you can get money to fund education adequately. That was how Asuu suggested education tax fund, a certain percentage from all of these multinational companies to be put in a dedicated account. That is what has given birth to TET fund,
yeah.
And needs
assessment
funds.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So, and you find that those projects, who are they for? They are for the students to provide adequate laboratories and reagents and equipment in the labs, to stock the libraries, to build adequate classrooms, lecture halls for the students, as well as accommodation facilities for the students. That is what the revitalization fund is meant for. And when that money comes, it doesn't come to Asuu. It goes to the administrators of the universities. So you find that what we are doing essentially is for the benefit of the students. You must ask yourself, when we wonder about the plight of the students, what quality of education are they actually getting in the universities today? We are saying that we must place our universities, for example, at the cutting edge of research and innovation, and propel our students and our scholars, to the frontiers of scientific development, which we are not doing at all. So it's in the interest of the students to tell you.
Okay.
This, just to inform you, these students that we are talking about, and we are saying, do we have a thought for them? Whose children are they? They are our children. Me as an individual, I have a son in the University of Benin. He's at home with me now. So I would rather prefer that he gets quality education that will make him globally competitive wherever he goes. You have heard the saying before that a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. So we are saying, if we must teach the students, let the teaching be adequate.
So what you're saying here this morning is that at the end of the 8 weeks that you guys will review, you review the position of the federal government,
yes.
And if they are still not forthcoming, you may still continue the strike.
No, certainly. And I think that is what this country needs.
But that's threatening, No,
it's not threatening. Listen to me. If you are aware, in Ghana, they stayed on strike for close to 2 years. The universities were closed down. Today, people from Nigeria are living here to go to Ghana to get education. We are saying that we must fix this rot.
But why do you think Asuu always try to come up whenever we're thinking of election? Is it that Asuu tries to hold government to ransom, or politically, or what?
No, not that at all.
That's some thoughts somewhere.
Okay, no, not that at all. That is far from it. For example, remember that we were on strike in 2019. In 2003,
you guys were on strike. There was a strike that I stayed home for like 6 months in Uniben.
Yes.
In 2003.
Yes. We are saying that, for example, the most recent, during the COVID, just at the onset of COVID, there was no election then. And we were at home for 9 months. There was no election. So to tie this thing to maybe any political motivations will be most unreasonable. It is not. It has nothing to do with elections at all. At the end of that strike in 2020, the federal government signed a memorandum of understanding with our union. and gave timelines within which all of those issues will be comprehensively addressed. As a matter of fact, it said that by the end of 2020, all of the issues would have been addressed comprehensively, 2020. And we have waited throughout 2021. Nothing has happened. And then we cannot continue to wait.
Okay. All right. So we cannot extend this discussion beyond this morning because of time. We've got so much to do here today. But hopefully we will be able to get feelers from the federal government so that we also hear their own side of the story. So please, Dr. Chikogu, we plead with you. Parents are pleading with members of Asuu and also with the federal government so that our students can go back to school. I know you may want to respond to that plea.
Yes, that's the plea that has taken Asuu back and forth into strikes and out of strikes. And I don't think that is the best thing for this country.
Okay.
What we should rather do is to appeal to the government, compel the government to meet the needs of university teachers, because education is crucial to the development and progress of this country.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ray Chikogu. He is the chairman of Asuu Uniben chapter. Thank you for finding time to come on our show.
Thank you.
All right. So the program is still here this morning on ITV. Please stay tuned.